Today, we explore how this date completely reshaped our world across five powerful dimensions: culture, education, finance, politics, and technology. This day proves that history never rests. Let's dive into the fascinating interconnected events of this date that continue to influence how we live, think, and innovate today. So, without much further ado, let's go.
Welcome to today's deep dive. I want you to imagine a single 24-hour window that gave birth to the personal computer, laid out the modern laws of war, unleashed the theory of quantum mechanics.
Oh, and triggered a literal cosmic blackout, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you would think it was the plot of some dense, speculative sci-fi novel or something.
Right. But it's actually just a Tuesday in August.
It is. And that is the wild thing here. Most of us just, treat the calendar like a blank grid. We look at a square, pencil in a dentist appointment, and just move on. We never really stop to realize that the very day we are walking through is buckling under the weight of human history.
It's so true, though. It is entirely human to view time as just a placeholder for our routines. We are just so focused on what we need to get done today that we rarely consider what the universe or even our ancestors have already done with this exact set of coordinates on the calendar.
Which brings us to the actual mission of today's deep dive. Because today's date is August 12, 2026.
Yes, it is.
And whether you are listening to this on your morning commute, or maybe you're trying to catch up on some history, or you're just insanely curious about how the world works, I promise you that by the end of this conversation, you will never look at a date on a calendar the exact same way again.
Definitely not.
We are going to explore how this seemingly arbitrary day acts as this bizarre historical focal point for human achievement, culture, and quite literally tonight, cosmic alignment.
And to map all this out, we have pulled together a really eclectic stack of sources for today.
It is a massive stack.
It is. We are synthesizing historical automotive and tech archives, diving into the original 1949 Geneva Convention drafts. We're parsing United Nations documents, leafing through traditional British hunting guides, and to top it off, analyzing the absolute up-to-the-minute 2026 astronomy forecasts.
Okay, so to find our way through all of that, I think we really have to look at this as a story about humans trying to find structure in a chaotic world.
I like that framing.
Right. So let's start with how our modern lives, both our physical and our digital lives, were essentially born on this very day, August 12th. We move from a world where most people never travel more than a few miles from their home to truly democratizing physical travel.
You're talking about August 12th, 1908.
Yes.
The completion of the pre-production assembly of the very first Ford Model T.
Such a huge moment.
It really was, because Henry Ford had this massive sweeping vision. You have to remember, at the time, the automobile was a total novelty. It was this incredibly expensive, handcrafted toy for the ultra-rich.
Right. Regular people weren't driving.
Exactly. And Ford fundamentally rejected that. He famously stated he wanted to build a car for the great multitude. So it had to be simple, it had to be practical, and above all, it had to be accessible to the average worker.
The specs from the archive on this are just amazing. We're talking about a 4-cylinder, 20-horsepower engine, and it topped out at around 45 miles per hour.
Which sounds incredibly slow to us now.
Right, glacial. But, on the unpaved, rutted dirt roads of 1908, doing 45 miles an hour in a metal box must have felt like absolute warp speed.
Oh, it must have been absolutely terrifying. But the true revolution of the Model T wasn't its top speed, right? It wasn't the horsepower. It was the manufacturing mechanism behind it and the economic shockwave that followed.
The assembly line.
Well, eventually, yes. When Ford launched the Model T in 1909, a runabout cost $825.
Still a lot of money back then.
A ton of money. But Ford was just obsessed with standardizing chaos. He relentlessly pursued efficiency. By standardizing every single motion of the assembly process with the moving assembly line, he removed the chaotic, bespoke nature of car building.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he created a strict structure, and because of that structure, the price just plummeted.
Yeah.
By 1925, you could buy a brand new Model T for just $260. He didn't just invent a car, he invented a system of mass production that literally put the world on wheels.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the way I see it, the Model T was the hardware revolution for the physical world, right?
Okay, yeah.
It took something incredibly exclusive, traveling long distances, and turned it into a household appliance. Now, fast forward exactly 73 years. August 12, 1981. We get the hardware revolution for the digital world.
Ah, IBM.
Yes. IBM announces its personal computer.
What's fascinating here is the connective tissue between Ford and IBM. It's that exact concept you just mentioned, standardization. Just as Ford standardized the physical assembly line to conquer geographic distance, IBM accidentally standardized the digital architecture to conquer data processing.
Looking at the 1981 original product announcement is a total trip, by the way.
Oh, I bet.
The IBM PC was marketed as this low-cost system with an Intel 8088 microprocessor, a standard 83-key keyboard, and up to 256K of RAM.
Plus those massive 160-kilobyte 5.25-inch diskette drives.
Right. I mean, our smartphones have literally millions of times more memory than that today.
It sounds so quaint.
So why did this specific computer on this specific day change the trajectory of human history? Weren't there, other computers before this?
There were, absolutely. But before the IBM PC, computers were largely these massive, proprietary, bespoke machines. A company would build the hardware, write the software, manufacture the components. Everything was completely closed off.
A walled garden.
Exactly. IBM made a radical decision. They intentionally designed the PC with an open architecture. Instead of building everything themselves, they bought off-the-shelf parts like that Intel processor, and they actively encouraged third-party developers to write software and build hardware for it.
Wait, let me make sure I understand the mechanics of this. By making it open, they basically gave everyone the recipe.
In a way, yes. They published the technical reference manual, and by doing this, they accidentally created a massive industry standard, specifically the x86 computing architecture.
Okay, I see that term x86 in the tech archives all the time. But what does that actually mean for the everyday user?
At its core, x86 refers to the instruction set architecture. It's essentially the foundational language the computer's processor uses to understand commands.
Okay.
Because IBM used Intel's chip, and the PC was so incredibly popular, other manufacturers realized they could just build clones of the IBM PC.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and software developers like a very young Microsoft realized they only had to write their operating system once, and it would work on any machine using that architecture.
Ah, so they brought structure to the chaos of early computing. Before, it was a Tower of Babel where no computers could talk to each other. IBM created a universal translator, which inadvertently handed the keys to companies like Microsoft and Apple to just launch this massive industry.
Exactly. They completely democratized intellectual computing.
So we have humanity figuring out how to mass-produce powerful machines, shrinking our world physically and digitally. We are gaining unprecedented power and speed. But as technology gave humanity unprecedented power, we desperately needed a framework to protect ourselves from our own destructive capabilities. Which brings us to the urgent need for guardrails.
And that brings us to another monumental August 12th. The year is 1949. Following a grueling 4-month diplomatic conference in Geneva involving 63 governments, the 4 Geneva Conventions were signed.
I have to push back a little here, though, because we often talk about the Geneva Conventions as this ultimate triumph of human morality.
Sure.
But the archives point out there were laws of war already established in 1864, 1906, and 1929. Doesn't the fact that 63 nations had to sit down in 1949 and draft an entirely new set of rules just prove that the previous laws were a complete failure?
Well, that is a very sharp and honestly painfully accurate observation.
Yeah.
The 1949 diplomatic conference wasn't just a routine update. It was a desperate, urgent reaction to the unimaginable atrocities of World War II. The prior laws of war were built on a fundamentally flawed assumption. They mostly covered combatants, the soldiers on the battlefield, the wounded, prisoners of war. The assumption was that the chaotic violence of war would naturally just be confined to the armies, and civilians would remain outside of the hostilities.
And World War II completely shattered that assumption. I mean, entire cities were leveled. Millions of non-combatants were caught up in it.
It did. So while the 1949 conference revised those first 3 conventions, their most critical innovation was the 4th Geneva Convention.
Protecting civilians.
Yes, this was entirely new territory. It was specifically engineered to establish the protection of civilian persons in time of war. It laid out complex, binding legal frameworks for occupying powers, ensuring civilians are treated humanely, outlawing collective punishment, and ensuring access to food and medical care.
It's just a staggering contrast, isn't it? On the exact same day of the year that we formally agree on how to limit our absolute worst, most destructive impulses in war, we also celebrate the birthdays of scientists who represent our highest intellectual potential.
It really is. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, that underlying theme of finding structure in chaos applies perfectly to these scientific pioneers as well.
Let's talk about them.
Take Erwin Schrödinger, born on August 12, 1887.
The famous Schrödinger, the guy with the cat in the box.
The very same. But his true legacy, which won him the 1933 Nobel Prize, was theorizing the waveform of subatomic particles and essentially launching quantum mechanics.
Okay, let's break this down without needing a PhD in physics. The archives mention he moved past the Niels Bohr model of the atom. Before Schrödinger, we thought of atoms like tiny solar systems, right? Solid electrons orbiting a nucleus.
That was the classical view, yes. But it couldn't explain the increasingly weird behavior scientists were observing. Schrödinger introduced a mathematical equation that accommodated wave-particle duality, the idea that subatomic matter operates as a wave of probabilities.
So it's like a spinning coin. When it's resting on the table, it's definitively heads or tails. That's a classical particle. But when you flick it and it's spinning rapidly, it's this blurry sphere. It's neither heads nor tails, but a combination of both possibilities. Schrödinger basically gave us the math to understand the coin while it's still spinning.
That is a brilliant analogy. He took the unpredictable, blurry chaos of the quantum world and anchored it with a mathematical structure. And incredibly, he shares this birthday with Vikram Sarabhai, born August 12, 1919.
From the microscopic scale to the macroscopic scale of the cosmos.
Exactly. Sarabhai was a physicist who fathered the Indian space program, ISRO, and he pioneered India's nuclear energy initiatives. He organized the structural frameworks needed to harness both the microscopic atom and the vast unknown of space.
It is wild that modern transportation, mass computing, international humanitarian law, and quantum physics are all anchored to August 12th. But I want to pivot here.
Okay, where to?
Let's step away from the heavy industry and international treaties. Let's look at how humanity culturally celebrates this day across the globe, because the sources reveal that the value of a single day is entirely dependent on where you happen to be standing.
The cultural tapestry of August 12th is wonderfully varied. From a global perspective, you have the UN's International Youth Day, established in 1999 for the roughly 1.2 billion young people on the planet.
But then you zoom into specific regions and it completely shifts. In Thailand, August 12th is a massive national holiday. It's Mother's Day, celebrating the birthday of Queen Sirikit.
And then on a much more micro, almost quirky level, there is Middle Child Day.
Wait, really? Middle Child Day?
Yeah. It's a highly specific observance designed to celebrate the middle children of families who are often kind of left out of the spotlight compared to firstborns or the youngest.
So what does this all mean? Depending on where you are today, you're either honoring global youth, celebrating time maternity, or buying a greeting card for your overlooked sibling. Doesn't the existence of something as niche as Middle Child Day, sitting right alongside massive UN observances, show how beautifully bizarre and localized our human calendar is?
It absolutely does. It shows how we assign cultural weight to time, balancing sweeping global awareness with these deeply entrenched local traditions.
Right.
And speaking of deeply entrenched traditions, if you happen to be in the UK on August 12th, you might be participating in the glorious 12th.
The glorious 12th. That sounds intensely formal. The traditional hunting guides in our stack go into immense detail about this. It's the opening of the red grouse shooting season.
Yes, it is a date that has been rigidly etched into the British sporting calendar for a long time. And these red grouse, they're completely wild birds. They thrive exclusively on these sweeping purple moorlands.
And when they fly, the guides say they're practically missiles.
They really are. They hug the contours of the ground and can reach speeds of up to 80 miles per hour.
Wow.
Yeah, 80 miles per hour in just a few frantic wing beats. It requires an incredible level of precision.
And the sensory experience of this, the traditional attire, is so specific. You don't just show up in jeans.
Oh, no. Shooters wear tattersall shirts, tailored breeks, which are knee-length trousers, shooting stockings, and classic tweed Garforth caps.
Right, the tweed is basically camouflage.
Exactly. It visually blends perfectly into the heathered landscape.
So down here on Earth, we are chasing 80-mile-per-hour wild birds, passing international laws, and honoring mothers. But here's where it gets really interesting.
The sky above us.
Yes. After looking at what humans have done to mark this date, today, August 12, 2026, the universe itself is putting on a show to mark the anniversary.
A truly awe-inspiring astronomical event. Today features a total solar eclipse.
Total eclipse.
Yes, and the path of totality sweeps across Greenland, crosses directly over Iceland, lasting up to 2 minutes and 13 seconds there, and ends in Spain right at sunset.
The astronomy forecasts say that millions of people are getting a piece of this, even outside totality. The UK is getting a massive partial eclipse, up to 96% at Land's End, which is going to completely dim the landscape and mute all the colors.
Right.
And even North America sees a smaller partial eclipse, from 61% up in Iqaluit down to 16% in Boston.
But the most dramatic visual is what happens in Western Europe. Observers there will see a rare, deeply eclipsed sunset. The sun will literally look like a sinking, blazing crescent horn slipping beneath the earth.
It's like the Cosmos double-booked the theater for today.
Yeah.
You get the solar eclipse as the opening matinee, and eclipse sunset as the dramatic evening show, and then the Perseids and Venus as the midnight encore.
And this encore is only possible because a solar eclipse necessitates a new moon.
Ah, so no moonlight.
Exactly. The skies tonight will be perfectly dark, creating the absolute ideal conditions for the peak of the Perseid meteor shower. In rural areas, you can expect 30 to 50 meteors per hour.
That is incredible.
And finally, Venus reaches dichotomy today.
Meaning it's exactly half lit, right?
It's exactly half lit in telescopes. And it will be blazing brightly at a magnitude of -4.4 in the twilight. The sheer rarity of this astronomical triple header is just astounding. The total visual contrast of totality seamlessly giving way to ideal dark sky conditions for shooting stars.
It is truly staggering to step back from the calendar and look at the sheer overwhelming density of this one date, August 12th. A day that gave us affordable cars and personal computers. It established modern humanitarian law. It birthed scientific geniuses. It kicks off the British hunting season. And today, it features a total solar eclipse alongside a meteor shower.
It proves that the dates we walk through so casually are saturated with history and science.
They really are. This deep dive proves that any random slice of time is layered with incredible history if you look closely enough. We walk through these calendar squares, treating them like empty boxes, never realizing what profound changes occurred inside them.
So true.
So I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over as you go about your day. If the first affordable car, the first personal computer, and the foundations of modern humanitarian law all share this exact anniversary, wait, let me rephrase that. If they all share this exact same anniversary, what unseen innovation or quiet agreement is happening today, August 12, 2026, while the entire world is distracted looking up at the eclipsed sun?
Hi viewers, family and friends. How did you like the content of this video? Like the video and subscribe to the channel. Please write in the comments your name and the place you are watching from. Since our viewing family is spread all over the world, it will be nice to know which city and the country you are watching from, so I can say hello to you. Science and technology. Reading and listening to the historical accomplishments on this date of those who have gone before us, I, as a professional engineer with interest in structural engineering, energy-efficient buildings, ICF construction, and as Google Docs expert with interest in spreadsheet-based solutions, draw inspiration to ask of myself the million-dollar question. What would I accomplish today? Think about the Japanese practice of Kaizen. Let me know in the comments, what would you accomplish today? Your subscribing to the channel inspires me to post more such videos. Thanks for your patronage. See you in the next video. Sincerely, Yogi Anand.